Hey guys, so I've been wanting to make this video for like 2 years about the 80-20 principle, also known as the Pareto Principle. This has been a really useful thing in my life, and it's applicable to everything, including everything that you're doing, with the things you're doing to manifest something or improve your self-concept or create your life. This is one of those things that will make you, it frees up a shitload of mental energy and time and all of that. This is something that you can easily miss. And a lot of people are like, just kind of naturally wired to not really adhere to this thing. So I wanted to talk about it because it's important. I've used it in business and with my weight and everything else. And so the 80-20 principle basically states that you're going to get 80% of your results from 20% of your efforts. Or like with my business, 80% of the revenue is going to come in through 20% of the products. 80% of the revenue will come in through 20% of the buyers. And it's not always exactly 80-20, but the basic gist is that you're getting a huge bang for your buck from a few things that you're doing, and everything else can basically be dropped without a huge noticeable difference. You know, if you're getting 80% of what you would get, just by doing this little 1/5 of the action that you would have to take, that frees up all your time, and that extra 20% that you could get by doing all this extra work, it's a cost benefit thing. Usually it's not worth it. That's what I found. Usually it's not worth doing that extra huge amount of effort to get that little benefit. Like a good example I have is with when I lost a bunch of weight. 80% of that weight loss, if not more, came from changing my diet and eating less food. I still went to the gym. I did that extra 80% of the effort because I was just gung-ho about it. I wanted every drop of it. And I don't regret it because I enjoyed that extra 80% of the effort that really only brought me that little 20% of the benefit. But, everybody knows people that have lost a ton of weight without ever hitting the gym. You really don't have to do that. In fact, it's a lot of extra effort. It's a lot easier to not eat something that has 200 calories than to go to the gym and do cardio for 30 minutes to burn 200 calories, So the 80-20 thing is basically just to make you waste less time. It frees up a ton of energy. It frees up a lot of mental thought. In a lot of cases, it frees up physical energy. And you still get the lion's share of the benefit just from doing a few things. And so this is an individual thing. I can't go into great detail about what I think that would mean for your process, but I can tell you the things that are important and the things that are not important. One thing that is very important that is worth spending time on, that will create a huge outer benefit, is in whatever way you can do this, you can intend for it, and that, your intention is what creates the whole ball rolling from point A to point B. You can intend to understand that all of this is real. You can intend to understand how this works and that this is real, that it's not just some pie in the sky magic, which I can see a lot of people, if you hit the wrong YouTuber who's in it for the wrong reasons and you do what they say, you don't get any fucking result. It'd be really easy to just say, this was just garbage used to sell me something, which in that case it probably was. But you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Getting to the point where you actually understand that, your visions for the future and your intention for things to happen and your belief that it will, and being the person, which you can absolutely be. I don't care who you are or what you are. You can become the person that naturally creates this thing that you want. Believing that all of that is real and that this isn't just some dream that's going to let you down. That's, I don't know how you get very far with this without that. And, for some people, maybe this is like a process that's going to go on throughout their whole lives. Everyone's in different places. Who knows why some people are able to just like snap and get it and start, hit the ground running and everything. And why other people, maybe get all the way to like their death in this life, just, you know, not being quite sure. That's where I would focus if you're not there yet. That's one of the big things that you can do. And obviously this whole channel is about your self-concept. The world is your mirror. The world that you create is going to be the creation of all the contents of your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs, your just your views on everything, the way you think this all works. That's what you're going to create in the outer world. That's what's going to be created through you. That's the bridge of incidents you're going to follow, you know, that's going to create the bridge of incidents that you follow to get to the things that you want and that you create. And so for that reason, I mean, the only thing more important than that is believing in this at all. Next up for me is the self-concept. It's just, without rearranging the thing that is projecting, your projection is not going to change meaningfully, permanently. You know, for me, the self-concept is basically all of it. Like Neville Goddard says, there's no one to change but self. But so for me, that's where it all is. But, you know, this is a do as I say, not as I did type of advice. I can't be like, oh, you know, if you don't do this, you're dumb, because I wasn't able to do this. And a lot of people, I think, have to go through the process of attempting to rearrange the 3D and either failing to do it repeatedly and for long enough that, you know, they realize, okay, I must not be doing this right. Or getting the things in 3D and then realizing that they're not going to give you what you know, they're not going to change anything for you. Like, the change is inside. It doesn't come from outside. I took a different route. I went the route of doing all that stuff, of constantly fucking with 3D and successfully getting most of the things that I wanted in the 3D, and then just realizing, like, this did not change the fact that I have some beliefs about myself and about the world that are just destroying my experience. They're making my life hell, literally. I'm in hell. Hell is now because of these beliefs. You know, it took, actually, I had to go through it the hard way. And that's why I'm making this channel, because I know that there are people out there that can hear this and avoid some of that stuff. I just know it. I know that there are people out there that are close enough, that are closer to understanding than I was, who can get it and just leap past all that stuff. I created a whole bunch of money, and that did do something, you know, getting resources pretty universally. If you don't feel horribly bad about yourself for having them, getting some resources to be able to just get off of the survival treadmill, that will absolutely help. That will absolutely give you more peace of mind. You know, being healthy will absolutely bring you benefits. You know, those things can't really be understated. And I don't really know how this all would have gone if I didn't do that first, if I didn't do that stuff and then have it be illuminated to me that there's way more to all of this than just like getting some resources and like getting healthy and getting a person, you know. So all that to say that if you can make it about you from the start, from wherever you are, I always kind of assume that I'm talking to people in their 20s because I know that's the demographic that watches this channel. But, you know, the people that may need to hear this could be in their 70s for all I know. You know, it's never too late to, you know, rearrange your whole view of everything and yourself and start experiencing heaven on earth, essentially. So first order of priority is just believe in this stuff in whatever way you have to do to get to that point. Make it happen, Kevin. And then focusing on your self-concept, because changing those beliefs and thoughts changes everything. It literally can repaint your vision of the world that's sitting right in front of you right now without a single thing changing. You know, A Course in Miracles says that a miracle is a shift in perspective. And, you know, I have had that thought pop into my head completely randomly, just about something I was looking at differently and realizing this thing is completely, it's a miracle that, I'm looking at this thing differently, and it's a completely different experience now. Like, this is a miracle. And then realizing, holy shit, like that's like the core teaching of A Course in Miracles. Like that, this is what that means. I'm feeling it experientially. So the self-concept is where to go for those kinds of things. And the self-concept is not your self-esteem or your self-image necessarily. Those things are part of it, but it's just it's the whole thing. And, changing things on the projector changes things that are projected. And it's amazing. To me, that's where it's at. That's where it's all at. But when it comes down to things that you want to get, this is another, this is my take on the 80-20% principle. When it's something that you want to get, like, I really wanted my living situation to change last December. And all year, we had a crazy neighbor and then another neighbor that was like really loud and obnoxious. So basically for the whole year of 2021, Matt and I were in sort of living situation discomfort and or hell at particular times. And this whole year I was just like, I had just inherited not a huge amount of money, but enough that I could certainly justify from a what fits into my moral, ethical, responsible code about money. I could have justified buying a house that was overinflated. This market's crazy. I did not want to do that. There's probably a real estate market crash coming, and I just didn't want to pay like $500,000 for a house that we were $300,000 in 6 months. So that was really bothering me. I was just like, buying a house really is kind of out of the question right now. And I didn't really want to move. I actually really liked my condo, and I hadn't been thinking about moving before Matt and I moved in together, and then this neighbor stuff started happening. I wasn't on board with the desire for the entire year last year until I had just had enough. And one day I was like, you know what, that's it. I 100% want to move. I still don't want to I didn't want to have to get a mortgage also, because it's a pain in the ass process for me, since I'm a 1099 employee of my business, and it's just, I don't have pay stuff, all I have is tax returns, and it's a more complicated process that I just really didn't want to deal with last year. My dad had just died, and I was just kind of in a low energy, low motivation sort of state all year last year. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have to get a mortgage. But for I don't have $500,000 in cash that I can just spend on something. I didn't. And it wasn't until I was really super clear that I wanted it. I was like, all right, I don't give a shit about moving anymore. I am ready to occupy a different dwelling. I'm ready to do this. I want it. Still don't see a way to get it, because I still don't want to have to get a mortgage. I still don't want to have to pay some overinflated price, but I know that I want it. I think the moving thing, the packing and moving, I just didn't want to do that because I was feeling lazy all year last year. Finally, I was like, I don't care. As soon as I had that, overall, my whole self is on board with what I want. I 100% want it. Now I just don't know how to really get it. That was when it just all fell into place. Literally in less than a day, with a magical event that kept me in the right place, put me in the right place at the right time. The way this stuff worked out for me. As soon as I knew that I really wanted it. So Pareto Principle, 80-20, having to do with things like that, for me, there's only two things that matter. One, you have to know that you want it right now. And I think in order to really fully know that you want something right now, you have to be the person that, matches with that thing. And what that means is really individual to each person and each thing that they want. So I'm not sure I can really go into that more. For me, I wanted that house. I was ready to do it. If it fell in my lap, I was ready to act on it, and I did. That's what I mean by that. I wasn't like, oh, but I'm really not sure that I want the responsibility of owning a house, actually. And I really don't know that I really feel like I can afford this. And, you know, there was none of that. Like, the opportunity, as soon as I was ready for it fully, showed up. It was like, oh my God, get me in this house in 1 hour, get this offer made now, figure out what has to be, it was just like boom, 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 boom. Call the movers, set them up. I have the money to pay for the movers. I'm physically capable of packing up my house in this short period of time between like this house showing up and when I have to close. Like, I was ready to do it. So the fact that, as far as I knew, the house didn't exist and that there was nothing in my price range that I would even be able to buy, like, that didn't matter. The thing showed up. This perfect house that I was able to buy with cash, that for a whole bunch of reasons I'm not sure I've ever gone into here, was priced at a price that I think is like totally reasonable based on any market. They literally could have gotten, I bet, $50,000 or $75,000 more for this house. They were just desperate to sell it, and they weren't from here. It was an inheritance type of situation. They weren't from this town, so they weren't super familiar with the real estate market right now. And for some reason, their dipshit real estate agent, I guess, just wanted to make a quick sale. And so, maybe the real estate agent wasn't involved. I don't actually know. Kind of seemed a little dipshitty to me, but for some reason this house was way underpriced. And because I had the cash to buy it, my offer was the one that was accepted out of, they already had 3 other ones that needed to get traditional financing that would, and get inspections and all that. I was like, I don't care about an inspection. I don't care about any of that shit. Like, I'm ready to close now. So they took my offer. And it happened within, I would say, because I don't remember every single detail of everything. I was kind of planning this makeshift funeral for my dad in November. I don't remember if I really felt like I was ready then. I know at the beginning of December, I was just like, fuck, I want out of this situation. I'm done. Like, we need to move. God damn it. We're going to have to stay here probably for another year or two. Just like, and then it happened. Knowing that I wanted it was key there. And then this other element of just knowing, and I know at this point, like, it's just happened so many times. A part of me still wants to believe. A part of me still wants to like doubt, and I can't. Like, my rational mind wants to doubt and my gut can't anymore. It's just seen it too much. That the way will always be made. If you really want something and you're ready for it, it will just unfold. If you know that, that's the other part of that. So, knowing what you want and knowing that even if you can't see how it will happen, that it will, if you're ready for it. And if it belongs with you and all that stuff, that to me is the 80-20 when it comes to getting things in the 3D. If you're already the person and you already have this belief, all you really have to know is what you want for sure. And I run through these things rationally. I get a lot of criticism on this channel for that. I don't really get it. Like, dude, I've done all this stuff. So I think that the way I approach this stuff has been pretty fucking effective. If I'm thinking about something that I would want, I run through every possible outcome that I can come up with in my mind. There are always a million things that you can't predict, but if you're looking at something that you want to do and there's like an obvious major problem that could happen because of it, I think it's best to just sit on that desire for a while. Let more information come to light. My dad was a lawyer. I got this kind of advice all the time growing up, and it's been just invaluable to not make stupid decisions that have screwed my life up. If you want something, but you're like, I really want this thing. I have this desire for this thing, but man, there's this real probable downside to this. It's just a part of what, could happen. Take the manifesting stuff out of this and like how you control that or whatever. If you just think about it from rational human terms, it's a good thing to sit on something until you develop more of a different orientation to that possible downside. Like, for me with the house, I was just like, I don't want to move, man. And who knows, like maybe that that feeling of resistance to moving was there for a reason. You know, I was kind of, I had some physical problems last year. I was down because I lost my dad, had gone through that whole thing. And, you know, that feeling of not wanting to move, I'm glad I didn't try to push myself past that, because obviously I was not in the right state of mind to do that thing at that time. And once I got to that place where I was like, okay, I don't care about moving anymore, I'm ready to do that, then the thing happened. You know, that's the thing, you can't force a lot of this stuff. Sometimes you just have to sit there and allow conditions to progress. I think patience is something that is sorely missing in this whole thing. Like, people want stuff now, but I think that that's one of the benefits of getting old. You know, I hit my 40s and a lot of stuff just really changed. But that type of thing, this instant gratification stuff, just kind of being able to sit and be in the current situation in 3D that you're not comfortable with or that you're trying to change, like, getting to the point where you can do that will make things happen so much more easily. You know, I'm so glad I didn't try to make something happen all year last year, which is what it would have been. It would have been forcing something that didn't feel natural to me at that time. The experience of the house, it just came together like it was just like Matt, the night that after, like, when I bought, like, got the offer accepted and everything, like, literally we had not even been talking about buying a house that morning. And that night I was like, so are you excited? Like, are you excited that we're getting a house? He was like, I can't even process that this happened, because this is not how people do things. You know, he's like, who does this? Who just, like, gets up, sees a house, goes, looks at it, and buys it, and the whole thing is basically tied up with a ribbon at the end of the day? He's like, who does this? I'm like, this is how I do everything. This is how everything comes about for me. It's just like, boom. You know, Matt and I have been engaged for 9 months, and everybody's like, so what are you doing for your wedding? When's your date? What do you, and we haven't done anything yet for it. It's a very similar feeling for me to the house thing. I don't have a big draw to anything, like, in terms of like a wedding. And I just know what's going to happen here. I just figured out that I want a purple dress. That was like the first thing for me. I just know what's going to happen here. At some point, I'm going to find the dress, and the dress is going to cause the whole thing to happen. Once I've got the attire, then I'm going to be like, okay, I just know it's going to fall into place. And it's all going to happen within like a month or two. Like, we will not have any plans, and then 2 months later, the wedding will be over. I know this is gonna happen, because the desire has to happen, I think, organically. Like, it has to, in order for it to happen rapidly and just like perfectly, you know, it develops organically over a little time with a little patience. So the 80-20 for me in that area is know what you want. And that can be a major challenge, but you can intend to know what you want, just like you can intend for anything else. And, you know, have a little faith that things are happening on the right time schedule, that you're creating the time schedule. You know, people often feel like they're being delayed by something else. Like, realize that it's you. It's all you. And you don't necessarily need to change it. Like, you don't necessarily need to force it to happen right now. You're like, you know, just because, have a little trust in yourself. Have a little trust in your, you know, if you really believe that you're creating this whole thing, which people say that they do, then obviously you're not creating the war in Ukraine consciously. You know, have a little faith that the greater consciousness that you're a part of, that's creating all of this, that is you, is doing this all for a reason. And that you don't need to struggle and force things to be different than they are. You can just learn to flow with it, and you'll get everything you want in the right, exact, perfect time, way, all that stuff. So anyway, I hope that you took something from that. The 80-20 thing is just, it's ever present, you know. 20% of your family members are providing you with 80% of your support system, or your friends, or whatever, you know. It's just, it's everywhere when you start to notice it, and it can cause you to become way more peaceful, because you don't have to do as much, you don't have to worry as much. And anyway, yeah, so I've been wanting to make a video about that for like 2 years, and the rambly nature of this video is why I haven't, I think, because it's just such a big topic that applies to so many things. And especially when you start trying to apply it to mystical stuff, it becomes a long and rambling video. It came to my attention yesterday via somebody who watches this channel that I'm actually perhaps doing people a disservice by not reminding them to subscribe to my channel. So I think I'm going to start doing that. I said I'm never going to be that person that's like and subscribe, and I'm not, because I'm not coming at this channel from, I don't care. I love that people subscribe to it, and I love the comments and everything else, and I love doing this for now. But I'm not trying to build a channel here. Like, it's just not something that I'm gonna apply marketing techniques to. You know what I mean? So, but since somebody said, hey, you know, somebody could watch a video of yours, click off, and never be able to find you again, I think I am gonna start reminding people to check if they're subscribed to me at some point. And I think I'll also add in, I don't give a shit. Do it if you want. If you want to be subscribed to my channel, subscribe. If you don't, then don't. If you, apparently if you like my video, it makes my channel more popular somehow. If you feel like liking my video, do it. If you don't, don't. I really don't care. Like, I haven't put any kind of mental marketing type of effort into this channel, and it's become what it's become. You know, I have kind of a lot of subscribers to this channel based on what I've done with it. And this will grow organically or not. And I don't really care either way, to be honest with you. So subscribe to my channel if you're not, if you want to be. And I may start saying that, so I wanted to explain that to those of you who remember me saying, I will never do that. Have a great day.